Hello, everybody. It is Brian. It is Friday, and I'm having a good day. Uh, it was the end of the week, and uh, the beginning of my week started interestingly. I had an interview loop with an organization that I hope to. Uh, I really hope that I really hope that I get that job because it's very interesting position, and I had a really good discussion with several folks over the past 2 days. It actually took 2 days worth of work. It was interviews, like an interview loop, very similar to how larger companies will do several, 30 to 45-minute discussions in a row. And so, very unique position. One that I would love to use because it would utilize my security talents, but also content creation and stuff like that. So there's definite work there. So. How's everybody doing? I am. I'm excited to be here on a Friday. It was one of those things. After Tuesday, I was completely wiped, so I wasn't feeling the Tuesday discussion. Tuesday was also my very last day at my previous employer, which not going to say anything yet because I haven't gotten the severance package yet. So, well, and I won't say anything negative about it anyway. But don't want to do anything in my window that will cause me to, for them to consider me like in violation of anything. So really enjoyed my 5 years there, and looking forward to figuring out what my next steps. Well, not figuring out, but finding a path to my next step, my next career, whatever. So hope everyone has a good week. Hope everybody's if they're looking for a job, if you're coming here and you've been part of the layoffs that occurred this week, my condolences. Uh, I'd like to tell you it gets better. Um, Maybe when I have a job, I can tell you, in fact, it will get better. Um, Only thing I can do is, take as much or little time as you need, but get started, getting that resume started and looking for whatever you want to do, and don't compromise. So, don't feel like you need to take a lesser job just because you're afraid of finding a position. The positions are out there. You just have to find them. Hiring.cafe, LinkedIn jobs, doing Google searches. You know, the jobs are out there. You just need to apply to them. And sadly, you and I are probably competition, looking for those same jobs. So it is what it is. And so may the better person win. If it is at a tie, that's fine. That's cool. So, hey, Digital Warhead, welcome. Um, I would be remiss if I did not mention B-Side Seattle is happening in less than a month. So let me get B-Side Seattle up here. I actually was talking with our organizers. Yeah. So actually talking to the organizers. This just a few minutes before we came online about presentations and speakers, and I have gotten my flight, so I will be up there Thursday before. It's on a Friday and a Saturday, so just to make sure it's not a Saturday Sunday thing. It's a Friday Saturday thing. So um, if you are wanting to join. Okay, so if you're watching the vertical version of this, my apologies. It looks like garbage and you can't see the whole screen. I really don't understand how the vertical bit works on YouTube for folks that have a 4K monitor on their screen. Let me see if I can show on the vertical screen the output there. Okay, there we go. Yeah, oh, what's the doodle? There we go. Yeah. February 27th and 28th, Friday and Saturday, from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Building 92, Redmond campus of Microsoft. It's behind what is normally known as the Commons, which is where Microsoft employees will go and have lunch, or there's conference room space. In the before times, back in early 2014, 2015, it was actually in the Commons, but because B-Sides have gotten a little bigger, they moved back behind building the Commons. So the Commons are in this area of okay. this may be the first and last time I try the vertical bits. So, but yeah, it's usually in this space, and it's a nice building back here. Really nice area, plenty of parking, so don't worry have to worry about parking on the weekends. And so, yeah, we're going to have speakers. Our speaker list is quite large. We have a number of different folks from all walks of life and all. Uh, we have Kurt Boberg, security staff researcher from SEMGREP. Uh, we have David Brunsden from DNS threat researcher. Liz Lewis Lee, the CIO of Washington Department of Natural Resources. That's pretty cool. Um, and we have three different keynotes. So, there's people are probably going, why are you up here, Brian? Oh, my mic audio sounds different. Uh, Different good or different bad there, digital? Different good or different bad? I did upgrade my. It might be popping here. Let me drop the DBs a little bit here so that it isn't topping out or causing any issues. Um, you know what? Let me double check and make sure that I'm actually using my flipping wireless mic.
How about that? Does that make any difference? Probably better now. Yeah, not as good as normal. Okay. Sounds like you're in an aquarium. I bet I changed it over to the wireless microphone and now it probably sounds better. So sounds like a laptop mic. Yeah. Okay. One of these days we're gonna get a streaming solution that doesn't suck. So yeah, we'll see. So much better. Yeah. Okay. For some reason the default mic is. Well, let me see what did I accident. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's my guess. It was probably the 820 that it was popping on. So anyway, we have a thank you Digital Warhead. I would have hated to have sat here for an hour and a half, sounding like I was in an aquarium or something. So yeah, we have a ton of folks who are going to be speaking at this event. Carolyn Wong, Adam Shostak will be here, of course. Our good friend Matt Domko will be speaking. We have Jason Haddix, who's going to be giving our keynote. I believe he's the mid-Saturday, so at post-lunch keynote, which is kind of interesting. Travis Van Winkle, Michael Rezik, who is a public interest cybersecurity person. So yeah, a number of good people. Emily Choi Green as well, from Clearly AI and ex-Googler. And so we have a sponsor, let's see, presentations. Let's see, there should be a list here. Yeah, so you can scroll down, see who is interesting here. There's also workshops, like Digital Warhead mentioned, signed up for a workshop. We have, yes, Breaking Silos, Not Systems, Dissecting the Cloud Beast, Build, Break, and Defend, MCP in Action, OSINT drones, so if you want to play with a drone, hands-on drone detection. You'll have some low-cost Bluetooth receivers, and you'll drone detection and triage. Lock Sport, so you'll do key impressioning. So you'll take a key blank, and you'll be filing that down and actually making keys by inserting it into the lock and getting the impression on the key and filing it down to make yourself a key. They did say that you might want to bring some earplugs, right? Misophonia. So I mean, if you like they said, nails on a chalkboard. You'll probably want to bring some earplugs, some hearing protection. If you have earbuds, maybe with a little music in the background or white noise, that'd be good. Meshtastic stuff. So yeah, that's a big one. I know that we have a workshop also for B-Side San Diego, I believe, for Meshtastic. Meshtastic seems to be kind of the big thing. From what I gathered at the last DEF CON, we have a large cluster of that coming all the way from like the tip of the Baja all the way up to like Northern California and beyond. So you can like hook up your Meshtastic devices and just do whatever Meshtastic does. Not my bag, but And so yeah, there's a ton of different things you can sign up for that half-day workshop. Most of these are 4 hours. Here's the big one is the Cyber Range, the Cloud Forensics Workshop, 16 hours, 2 days. So you may be coming to B-Side Seattle, and all you're gonna, well, I don't say all you're gonna be doing is, but the workshop is gonna be pretty intensive. So yeah, the drone OSINT workshop. Okay, that makes sense. being able to, show how a Bluetooth receiver can add drone detection is pretty awesome. Um, and yeah, many facilities are blind to these signals, and they might be listening outside your conference room windows if you're, in a big giant conference room talking about the latest roadmap or something, and wouldn't be outside the range of capability for some of these smaller drones to be able to listen in on conversations through glass windows or what have you. So, yeah. You'll learn how to turn drone sightings into clean, evidence-driven reports that authorities can meaningfully act on. There you go. There you go. So yeah, come and check that out. Tickets are available on, Eventbrite. If you haven't gotten it already, I think you can sign up for the workshops through Eventbrite as well. Yeah. So you can get your tickets. Let me go see. Participant, yeah. So there's a spawn camp. So the youth technology, 8 to 18, and they have different levels of support. If you can afford $1,000 ticket, great. We'd love that. Just keep an eye out on that. They have donations. Oh, here's the workshops and T-shirts. So yeah, you can get your workshops through there as well. There are various amounts based on the type of workshop that it is. So you can go check that out. We have fitted and let me see, straight cut T-shirts. So you can pick which one you prefer in terms of type that you enjoy. So yeah. Anyway, B-Side San Diego is coming up too in April. I think we're about ready to announce tickets. We're waiting on, I believe, another potential room at SDSU so we could have a 5th workshop. We're currently discussing, what the next steps are there. We will be announcing tickets for that very soon, and I'll keep you all updated on that. So just keep your eyes peeled. Like I said, San Diego in April is a beautiful place. So. And I love it. I love living here. It's actually about 80 degrees Fahrenheit here, which is about 27 C, it's not bad here today. So it's a lovely time. Anywho, so I found I don't know if you're aware of this, but there is a site out there called Vulnerable You, which is a newsletter written by Matt Johansson, or Soft J Johansson. Does a lot of content creation. He does some blog posts. He does some podcasting. He does a YouTube channel. He also does a mailing list with some news stuff in it. So I have signed up for his. I don't know. Let me see. 20 freedom units or something. Whatever it is in Kelvin, or there's a 4th temperature scale. There's Kelvin, Celsius, Fahrenheit. I think there's another one, but yeah, Kelvin, it would be somewhere in like the mid 300s or something. So what was that? 80 degrees Fahrenheit to Kelvin. 300. So there you go. Almost 300 degrees Kelvin, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's a nice so yeah, you convert to Celsius and then you add 273.15 degrees, because 0 degrees Kelvin is absolute zero. So yeah, 299.817 Kelvin. So but yeah, so Vulnerable You, if you want to get caught up on news or any kind of comment, any kind of additional. Yeah, there you go. A really good place for content. He also posts up any YouTube videos that he does. He also mentions some of these are AI powered. You can go check those out. Some of it overlaps depending on the various newsletters you follow up on, but it's not bad. It's not bad. It's a dry 80 degrees, I will say. The contrails up in the air where the jets are going across are evaporating quite quickly, which is indicative of upper level dry air. So weather nerd. So if they stuck around for a long time, it would be indicative of more moisture in the upper atmosphere, which is why you see the longer contrails that'll go clear across the sky versus ones that they come out the back of the plane, and if they're not changing your brain chemistry, they evaporate immediately. So anyway, I was looking through some of his information here on his Vuln and some good features, good discussions here. The this one this one was pretty funny. It said MongoDB, which is a database-like system that stores key value pairs. Apparently, there was a series of research publications about MongoDB ransomware exploit campaigns between 2017 and 2021. Someone, they felt that this was no longer a thing, but it actually is. They said this was 5 years ago, but since then only have a few stories about ransomware. But this organization, Flare, had conducted a pen testing exercise where the organization had 12 MongoDB instances exposed to the internet, or 2 of them were exposed to the internet. And the 2 that were exposed to the internet had a ransom note inside of them, because the way that MongoDB works is a threat actor finds the DB, the Mongo database, they download everything off the database, and then they delete everything out of the MongoDB instance, and then leave a ransom note with the idea that if you don't pay us within the next 48 hours, they'll permanently delete the database. I think what they found was that they found several thousand instances of MongoDB on the internet. Now, some of those may be honeypots, some of them may not be. But they said, threat actors demand payment in Bitcoin anywhere between 500 to 600 US dollars to a specified wallet. 53 and raining here. Oh, well, Seattle is, February is about the time I usually got about 2 foot of snow when I was up in Seattle. I remember the biggest snowstorms we had was in Snoqualmie was mid-February, early mid-February. So winter's not done. Winter hasn't released its icy grip upon the Pacific Northwest just yet. So, and depending on where you live in the Seattle area, the microclimates are such that it will rain in downtown Seattle and it will snow buckets up at 850 to 1,000 feet elevation. Let me see. It didn't take long. After a few days after we set up the containers, we saw the ransom node in all the servers. So they set up a honeypot themselves, allowing people to connect to MongoDB instances without authentication, deploying the container to various geolocations. And where's the? Here it is. All your data is backed up. You must pay us $500 to $600 apparently to this wallet within 48 hours, or your data will be publicly disclosed and deleted. More information. The funny thing is, they probably dumped it without finding out if there was actually legit information in there. They just saw gigabytes of data, and they were like, with the equivalent of, super secret, plans.xls or something like that, downloaded the data without thinking about it and just put up the, maybe they had an AI assistant do it for them, So your database code is this. Okay. We started collecting threat intel data to assess this threat and associated risks. Found hundreds of relevant results, including this MongoDB ransomware tutorial. Hey, that's easy. See, people are passing on what they know, right? I'm waiting. We haven't received any level in snow yet. Yeah, it comes and goes. It happens in spurts. Some years you won't get anything in the Seattle area, Seattle City proper. But when they do, I don't want to say the videos are hilarious, especially what's up we call Queen Anne Hill, which is like a hill with a fairly decent angle, and people try to go up it when there's ice, and then they go up it and then they come back down it. So yeah, there's some videos out there of buses or cars sliding down Queen Anne Hill, because I want to say it's the only way to get up or down some parts of that neighborhood. So yeah. If you're interested in hacking MongoDB, apparently this person on the Darknet Army site is more than willing to help you understand how to, let me see what they say. Important data, customer records, orders, employee details, etc., in a digital storage system. Right. He even explains the digital storage system is called a database. It's feels like that's AI generated. But, so they've got a ton of how-tos on how to do it. Where's the article I saw where they said Yeah, a 3-month analysis. We identified 763 container images uploaded to Docker Hub containing a specific configuration that allowed them to bind to all network interfaces and enables authenticated access by default. So a lot of your MongoDB instances, especially in Docker Hub, may be insecurely configured at the out. So something to look at and look for when you're running your MongoDB. If you're running it in a Docker instance, the last thing you want it to do is to bind to all network interfaces and allow unauthenticated access. So be equivalent to allowing read-write access to an S3 bucket to anybody in the world, global read and write. So they're going to pull that data down. They're going to be able to make changes to that bucket and delete everything in it, leaving you a nice receipt. So remit payment for your stuff. So I'll copy this over from flare.io. Make sure that we don't include the UTM. There you go. There's that. All right. So yeah, here you go. So when the container is deployed using host networking or explicit port mapping such as 2717, 27017, keeping the default config as commonly happens in real-world environments, the results, okay. This is an example where we've seen, the default configs don't do things like change passwords or allow for, access to all of the unauthenticated access, and then it connects to every, interface on the system. In the internet reachable environments, the seemingly minor change is enough to turn a convenience-driven setup into a fully exposed and high-risk database. Right. Yeah, it's painful. Yes, the MongoDB config accepts connections from any. Yeah, so these are all the different commands that it asks for. You're going to run app install. So you're running a Linux, update deb. Make dir/data. So that's the data directory. It is data directory. Data DB is where the database is going to be stored, and then it's going to run the command, right? So what you need to do is go back in and modify your Docker config instead of allowing this to run and hold your production data, right? You really would only want it, depending on where you're setting it in your environment, you would want it to connect to only internal IP addresses, or probably you would want, I don't know if you'd want a static address, but it would seem to make sense you would want a static address, or maybe you want it tied to the internal IP address range. If you're needing to run MongoDB and expose it to the internet in such a way, you would want to make sure that it doesn't have the ability to, reach in. So, yeah, man, that is rough. I've always wondered why applications start in such an insecure way. It seems like that's a miss for MongoDB, that the default connection should not be this. And this is just, somebody wants a simple MongoDB setup, so they're going to set up whatever it is they want. And that's the easiest way to run MongoDB so you don't have to troubleshoot, I guess. So, yeah. Exposed credentials. Here's the exposure in the wild. 200,000 servers running MongoDB that were publicly discoverable. Of these, 100,000 instances disclosed operational information, and 3,100 were fully exposed without access restrictions. So that's 3,100 potential, I don't say breaches, because some of these, maybe a good 10% could be honeypots or things that maybe are available publicly on purpose. Like space images or something like that from NASA that have to be public, so you can make them public to serve that data. So of the 3,100 they found, half were already compromised. Databases wiped and replaced with a ransom note. In nearly all cases, the ransom demand approximately 500 USD in Bitcoin. And they only had, okay, so that was my next question. It was like, how many of these use the same like ransom node or the same malware, the Bitcoin wallets, or crypto wallets. So only 5 distinct wallets were observed across all the incidents. 98% of cases used this one here specifically. This strongly suggests the activity is attributable to a single dominant actor, likely the same attacker documented in our previous dark web research. So yeah, it's there's a lot out there. Obviously, this person's not keeping up with that, and maybe there's a lot of organizations out there that don't know they have a MongoDB set up in such a way. Hopefully, they don't continue putting data into it. You can delete that data, but you could, oh, that's interesting. So if it's exposed to the internet, and there's data that somebody's already taken and left a ransom node, what would happen if you were completely oblivious to the fact that your MongoDB was dumped, your database was dumped? Your database should be empty except for a note, but you could continue adding data to it, right? So that would mean whatever data up to that point was missing, but you could continue adding data to your MongoDB. Does the bad guy go back in and then re-pull that data and just leave the same note? I don't know. That's an interesting question. Obviously, I'd have to, you'd have to know from somebody who's been owned already if they've, were they aware or something. Even at the lower end of the estimate, potential revenue highlights how exposed databases can be monetized at scale. Okay. Anyway, interesting write-up. I'm not sure exactly why I hope this is an incomplete wallet. I mean, I guess not. I don't know what the benefit of putting the entire crypto wallet on there would be, but I would not have put the entire wallet on here unless you're going to go hack that wallet. But anyway, let me see. So we have. It's not been a good week for Microsoft either. Their stock is trading very, very, very low. Not because of layoffs, but let me see. Microsoft stock trading lower. I own Microsoft stock, not because I worked there, but because I have an E-Trade account. I've had it for, I don't know, since 2012, 2013, when it was like $35 a share. Yeah. So drop was driven by investor concerns over slower than expected growth in Azure cloud business and massive accelerating capital expenditures for AI infrastructure. The plunge erased, $357 billion in market value. Yeah, my stock took a bit of a shit. I think I lost like $15 a share, which it's over like 400 and something dollars a share. So $15 is not huge. It's like 10%. But yeah, there's massive spending on GPUs and data centers. Yeah, companies forecast for more personal computing. Yeah, they've not had a good couple weeks with the pushing of the AI and Windows 11 and all that. So yeah. So, but yeah, in addition to that, they also had some O-Day in Office. So they said they released an out-of-band emergency update on Microsoft Office. It's 2026-21-509, FX multiple Office versions, all the way back to Office 2016. So if you're still using that version, then you're still vulnerable. That's not to say that if you're still an organization that can't afford a newer version of Office and you're using Office 2012 or Office 2010, you might still be vulnerable to this. I don't know. Just keep that in mind if you're using an ancient version of Office. Preview pane is not a vector. Oh, that's interesting. Usually preview pane is one of the biggest issues here, but unauthenticated local attackers can still successfully exploit the vulnerability through a low complexity attack that requires user interaction. Okay, so what? Send somebody a document and they click on it? Reliance on untrusted inputs. Attacker must send a malicious. Okay. You still have to send somebody a malicious Office file and they still have to open it. Oh, and convince them to open it. It's not that difficult. So might want to, block PPTs and doc files from external sources, or tar pit them, or remove them, remove them from your email bodies until such time as you can get this all patched. A friend sent me an article on Telnet vulnerability. I didn't bother reading it because, yeah, digital warhead. We talked about that one last week. Uh, yeah, Telnet. Let me see. In the news. Yeah, this one here. Yeah. It's in. Come on, there we go. Yeah, 24061 in GNU in iNet utils, Telnet D server. Yeah, if you're using ICS or OT, some older legacy technology, and you, for whatever reason, have Telnet exposed to the internet. Again, I'm not sure why you would want to do that. I'm sure that there's a valid reason, but you really should have a better way of accessing a server if you're using Telnet. Hell, even a VPN to a Raspberry and then SSHing to the box would be a far better solution than using straight Telnet from the internet. You have to go that route. But yeah, it was. Oh, and it's been around for about 10 years. So you're still using, during that time, it was the vulnerability was added by some developer in May 2015 for whatever reason. But yeah. So yeah, going back to the Office bit, send somebody a doc file with a malicious payload in it. They click on the document, they get owned. Customers on Office 2021 or later will automatically be protected via service side change, but will be required to restart their Office application if this take effect. So yeah, if you're using Microsoft Cloud, you're less likely to get it. But if you're still using an on-prem Office and you're still licensing Office like 2016, 2019, you might be vulnerable, or the long-term service contract versions of 2021 or 2024. So, but if you're on Office 365 Copilot AI apps, Enterprise AI, you might be okay. So, it will just say, hey, you need to restart your Outlook, or you need to restart your Word or your PowerPoint or whatever. So make sure you save all your shit before you run those updates. Now, if you've been affected, they actually had, here's how to fix it in your registries. Close all your Office applications, back up your Windows registry. Automatically, this is something you wouldn't want Joe average user to be able to do. You don't want them doing this for you. This would be something you'd want to push through group policy if that still exists, or some way of modifying it remotely so that it can be done on every box the same way without trying to explain to somebody else how to do it. So there's a couple of 4 or 5 registry keys that you have to remove. Let me see. Yeah, clear this up with the instructions below. Yeah. So this is the mitigation measures. My apologies. Yeah, so you can add these things to reduce the severity if you can't patch. So maybe you're outside of a support contract and you just use Office for whatever, and you don't have a packet, an updated license for that. So let me grab this here for everybody. Was that copy clean link? Okay, very cool. There's that, and there is that. Okay. Yeah, after performing these steps, the flaw will be mitigated when you next launch an Office application. We recommend impacted users follow guidance on our CVE page. Our default protected view provides an extra layer of protection. As best practice, we encourage users to exercise caution when downloading and enabling editing on files from unknown sources as indicated in the security warnings. So don't ignore the security warnings, folks. They're there for a reason. Do you want to do something potentially harmful? Yes, let's go ahead and, open up that, SCR file or whatever that looks like a document. I love you.scr. Yeah, sure, let's do that. God knows we need a little bit more love. So, mm. Oh yeah, I forgot about the fixed shutdown issues. Some Windows updates were actually causing computers to not be able to shut down properly or hibernate. I think my wife ended up having that. We walked by her office and her computer was on and it was closed, right? So it should be shut off. But yeah, that was causing some issues as well. Um, and then the emergency updates caused Outlook to client to freeze or hang. So just not a good couple weeks for Microsoft right now in terms of vulnerabilities and stock price and um, maybe over promising and underselling, their AI offerings. Um, so apparently, and I'm not going to get overly, you know, um, political here. Somebody at CISA, I was going to say, some low-level functionary, but no, it's the acting director of the CISA team. Took some files. Now, I read this on Reddit, and it was written as, oh, they put classified files on ChatGPT. A little bit of FUD there. The files were classified, but it's for official use only. Now, if you have worked in the government, for official use only is not, yeah, let's make them public, and it's not, oh my God, TSSCI for your eyes only, James Bond, this will explode in 3 seconds after you've read it, burn after reading kind of stuff. It's, here's it's okay to give it out to the public, and then for official use only. Um, yeah, you shouldn't put things with a normal, classifier inside of ChatGPT. My question was, and I asked this on Reddit, was, okay, so, Madhu Gatumukala, uh, put those things inside of ChatGPT. Can I get that information? Is it possible for me to recall that information? Hey, can you give me an idea of what he uploaded into you? My understanding is it sounds terrible when we say, yes, we put all those files inside of ChatGPT, but I don't believe that there's any way easily to pull that data out directly. My understanding is that if that data was used to train the next version of ChatGPT version, I don't know, 25 or whatever the hell it is right now, that could be added. So when people make queries in the future, it could use that data to make guesses or answer questions about certain things, but you would have to know exactly what was uploaded in that case. If I'm wrong, yes, Digital Warhead, stupidity has no bottom with this administration. The thing is, though, this is indicative of how people want to use AI, right? It didn't have to be the acting director of CISA in this case. It could be your chief financial officer who's trying to get an analysis of a bunch of documents, or maybe, maybe your favorite pen testing firm just sent you a 75-page Word document with 8,000 lines in it, and you're like, I can't read this shit. Hey, ChatGPT, give me a summary of what this thing was. Never mind the fact that there's 25 vulnerabilities of a critical nature inside of your system that you just, allowed your director of IT to upload into ChatGPT because he doesn't see any problem with that. Yeah, and we've heard that they're licensing ChatGPT for use on the secret side or SIPRNet potentially, if that still exists, if that's still a thing. But they're definitely wanting to use AI on the more classified networks over there. So I'm not saying that this is the same one that they would be using, but they would have a potential, on-prem or cloud-based version over there. But this is indicative of how people want to use AI. They want to use it to maybe summarize or to, better understand the 800-page document that he was wanting to review, or never mind, he didn't have time to look in page 535 where it shows here's, nation state secrets, or, in for a business case, it'd be like, here's the, here's our top secret plans for our roadmap for the next year and a half. Oops, that was on page 47. I didn't get that far into the report before I decided I needed to get a Cliff Notes version of the document. So um, I hate making excuses for this administration because I'm not, but this is indicative of a lot of business organizations as well. So it just is what it is. We want to save time. We want to save effort. You know, you get a 75. Who has time to read the 75-page report that you get from, you know, from your security assessor? You know, you read the executive summary and then you hope everyone else is, you know, taking all the findings and they're already in your JIRA to be, you know, actioned on, or, you know, you got a 15-page proposal from, you know, somebody about a thing and you're like, yeah, just give me the highlights, right? You say other AI tools now approved by DHS employees, such as self-powered DHS chat. What happened to having like cool names? DHS chat? That's garbage, right? Have a cool name like, you know, Project Helper On or something like that. Why can't we have a cool name? So the director forced Sice's hand into making them give him ChatGPT, and then he abused it. Okay, so he asked for the tool for work-related issues. Then he did what they probably had suggested not to do. It's not the first time this guy has done things. I think he submitted to a polygraph a couple of months ago that he maybe didn't need to do, but you know, it was to get access to certain things. I think, yeah. So, oh yeah, here it is. He failed a counterintelligence polygraph. That's what it was. They say the polygraph was unsanctioned, but he wasn't. They asked him if he was aware of the failed test. He did not accept the premise of that characterization. I don't know what that means. So yeah, you know, that is what it is. But if we don't have AI tools that we can trust, but we're supposed to implement AI in certain ways in our organizations, you know, we're wanting to use it for automation, we're wanting to use it for certain things, but we're still having it do things for us that are of sensitive nature. Like there's, what was that, Clawdbot? Where's Clawdbot at? There it is. Clawdbot is like the new hotness apparently for AI assistants. And Vulnerable You actually mentions this. Where's this? Oh yeah, here's this guy. I actually watched a good 10 minutes of this video. I will spare you the details because it's just,
I've seen.
shut up. So this guy goes and he's talking about he bought a Mac Mini for this and whatever. And I think he was paid for by Anthropic because he talks about, you know, all the things you can do with this. And he, if you don't want to use a Mac Mini, you can set up the AWS free tier. I will post the link to this if you. Cool names are evil now. Yeah, see, yeah, that is true. Well, Palantir already was a, you know, a name that was, you know, supposed to be evil, right? Why would you name a company Skynet, or why would you name a company Palantir? You know, it'd be like, you know, Hitler Incorporated or something like that. It's like, why the hell would you want to name it after something that is being used for evil in a, you know, fantasy a novel? The Palantirs were basically walkie-talkies for the ancients there, and Sauron had taken them over and corrupted them and started messing with people's minds, including the Steward of Gondor, amongst other things. So yeah, this guy goes through, apparently, I don't know if he actually does set it up. I didn't get that far into the discussion, but yeah, you can install Clawdbot through command line, but he really goes into like, you know, Claude Opus is the best thing ever and whatever. And I'm like, okay, yeah, great. He says that it has the ability to use multiple like OpenAI, Anthropic, Minimax, Qwen, QWEN. Some of these I've never even heard of. Synthetic, Google Copilot, OpenRouter, Vercel AI, Moonshot. So there's a number of different ones this Claude will use. One of the things that people brought up in this, now Claude is called Moltbot, of course. So it's massively hyped, a Gen personal assistant. There are security issues with it. And this comes back to the CISA discussion that we talked about, because there's a quote in this article here where, let me see where. So yeah, they say its agentic capabilities allows it to respond to emails, manage calendars, screen phone calls, book table reservations, all with minimal intervention or prompting from the user. The YouTube video the guy talked about was he had connected his AI bot to like Telegram so he could send it commands. So he's got a connection inside from Telegram directly to his internal network where his Mac Mini is sitting on his desk. Asking it to do certain things, and he was talking about, I'll get a nice fat one if I wanted to do something like video editing, or it was making scripts for him to, where was it? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, here you go. He said he finished 3 tasks while you set a workflow for a YouTube script. So I don't know if the YouTube video or the script that he was reading from the YouTube video was generated by Claude, talking about how good Claude is. So I don't know if he's just a hand puppet now, extolling the virtues of the AI. Yeah, he reacted to a New York Times article, so something was, vibe coding. So yeah, it was giving him suggestions, things, and a lot of this stuff is cool. I mean, if there's a good workflow for it, if it could, help me with editing video or, figuring out how to make clips that don't suck, that would be ideal. But yeah, there's a lot of hype here, but, and I will continue to go back to this. Where did they say? In order for Moltbot to read and respond to emails, for instance, it needs access to accounts and credentials. Users are handing their keys over to their encrypted messenger app, their encrypted messenger apps, phone numbers, and bank accounts to this agentic system. Yeah. From a security point of view, you can see how that might be a bad thing. There's also some problems where somebody said, where was it? Oh, yeah, Jameson O'Reilly, red teaming company Devon, was one of the first to draw attention to the issue, saying he saw hundreds of Clawdbot instances exposed to the web, potentially leaking secrets. So going back to MongoDB, maybe the default for Clawdbot is, hey, unauthenticated access, I'm running on a specific port, you've got code, you've got an AI, you've got, access to things like that. Yeah, so failed involved proxy misconfigurations, localhost connections, auto-authenticating has now been fixed, but it could have allowed attackers to access months of private messages, account credentials, API keys, and more, anything to which Clawdbot owners gave it access. Where is the one thing that I saw when I read this article was, where is it? Oh, yeah, here we go. So there was SALT security. Significant gap exists between customer enthusiasm for Clawdbot's one-click appeal and technical expertise needed to operate a secure agentic gateway. While it may resemble a typical Mac app, proper configuration requires a thorough understanding of API posture governance to prevent credential exposure due to misconfigurations or weak authentication. Now, Eric is not wrong. But I will temper that by saying people who want to run AI don't give a shit. They don't. They don't care about, a thorough understanding of API posture governance, blah, 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 blah. That's what they heard right there. Proper, blah. They just want to be able to have some AI answer emails for them, make a dinner reservation for Friday night to their favorite restaurant or whatever. They don't give a shit if it's insecure or not, or if it deletes all their email. They will care when it deletes all their email or, empties their bank account because it suggested something or you suggest something to it, or somebody gets in and says, hey, order 500 of these things from Amazon using this credit card. But yeah, it's rough. And they also said, its researchers also said, some of the secrets shared by the assistant by users were stored in a plain text, markdown, or JSON file on the user's local file system. Now, I was thinking about this, and the first thing I thought of was, I know Mac Minis have TPM in them. There's probably an API that allows the OS to query the TPM for values or keys or something like that. Why are they not using the TPM in Clawdbot? Why is Clawdbot not able to access the TPM API to be able to store those in a more secure fashion or secure location? It's the whole reason that Windows users are having to upgrade to Windows 11 because TPM version 2 is not available. That means every processor that can run Windows 11 is supposed to have like a little mini trusted platform module, which will also store keys. If memory serves, if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments below. But it's my understanding that it will store those kinds of values inside the TPM chip, like a hardware security manager, HSM. And so, yeah, there's no guidance to these things, right? You can just go, it's an open source project, right? Yeah, so this is it. Molt, OpenClaw.ai. Apparently they had to change their name because Anthropic didn't like the fact that it said Claude, C-L-A-W-D bot, Clawdbot. So yeah, there was some people who were unhappy at Anthropic with that and made them change the name to Moltbot or what have you. So, and this is all you need to do. You just have run your curl. It'll probably run on Linux as well. So if you have a Linux system that you can do that with, yeah, Windows, Mac, or Linux, Anthropic, OpenAI, or local models, private by default. Your data stays yours. Talk to it on WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, Slack, Signal, or iMessage. So you have a Slack bot to connect to it. I'm not sure you would want somebody on a public Slack to have access to your AI assistant. The problem is I see this being used in an enterprise environment as well, being like, oh, we don't have to get an assistant. We could just use a Clawdbot, using it as a Slack in the workflow. Hey, schedule a meeting with Bob from, the CFO at this time. And Bob, the CFO, is allowed this, Moltbot to have access to his work email. We're seeing shadow AI be a thing, right? So, hey, I'm a C-level person, but I don't have an assistant, or, I'd really like to get an assistant. I'm going to use this instead to see if it'll actually work. So now, this is being used in the enterprise, running locally on somebody's box, access to their work email, access to their personal websites or their social media. Yeah, see, full system access. This is not a selling point. This is not a selling point. Run shell commands in the workspace. So this is also, I think somebody said in the bottom of the doc here. Yeah, so Heather Adkins, I think we had Heather Adkins on several years ago. She's now the VP of Security Engineering at Google Cloud. My threat model is not your threat model, but it should be. Don't run Clawdbot, she said, citing a separate security researcher who claimed Moltbot is an info stealer malware disguised as a personal AI assistant. Yeah, security consultant Yassine Aboukir said, how could someone trust that thing with full system access? And it does. It's a selling point for them. They want you to use it for everything. And that's a problem. That's a problem because somebody is going to do just like MongoDB. They're going to run it. They're going to install it. They're going to configure it, probably with a public AI, because the guy on the email on the YouTube has whatever the top tier ChatGPT version for like $200 a year, $200 a month, or whatever. And he's using that to process all of his emails, to create his scripts, and to help all of his work stuff. But yeah, and if you really want to see what's going on with Clawdbot, he's going to give you they pay him by the word, I think, but you can go check him out and see what's up with that. I'm just salty because he has 92,000 subscribers and I have like 1,200. Yeah, some of it's like but yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, it's not a selling point to have full access to your entire system. The problem is people don't know what these things are going to do. They don't understand. You give it something, depending on your AI. I think to be fair, on the YouTube channel, he does say that some of these, like he did say Opus does exactly what he wants it to do and nothing else. depending on the AI that you use, you may have confusion, which could, hey, like we had with that article about somebody asking it to delete project files, on a drive. Instead, it wiped the entire drive. You could have where it gets confused depending on the AI, and instead of sending an email that you intended to send, it would, reply all to, starting email apocalypses or something. You know, not to be funny, but your AI is going to do exactly what you tell it to do. And unless you're it's almost like the wish spell in role-playing games. When you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, you get a wish. You don't just automatically pipe out, hey, I wish for, a new cat or something like that. If you've ever played role-playing games, the first time you get a wish, the game stops. And how many ever players you have around the thing is like, okay, how can we make this wish work exactly how we want it to work? Because the DM is over there going, how am I going to make this wish do exactly what I don't want them to do? Kind of the same thing, but the AI is not purposefully trying to screw you. It's just going to go, oh, you want me to do this? Well, I can't do that specifically, so I'm going to do this thing that actually accomplishes this thing, but it may not be the thing you want to do. In this case, delete all the project files on this directory. Oh, I can't do that, or I don't have permissions to do this, so I'm going to go modify the config file that allows me to do this, and then I'm going to wipe your D drive. I got rid of the project files, but I had to delete your entire D drive to do it. Yay me, right? How did I do? Oh yeah. So I think if we're going to have AI assistants like this in enterprise environments or in business environments, I think it's going to be important for people to understand where their secrets are being kept. And it might actually make a lot of sense to make sure you're having backups being done, maybe not by the AI. Maybe there needs to be some things that you save or back up yourself, especially things that are of a sensitive nature. Maybe you maybe you have it work in a sandbox for a couple of weeks to make sure that it doesn't, screw something up with your workflows. Yeah, like some Linux commands have the dash n, like I want to say nmap or something. There was a Linux command that used to have like a dash n, and it was like, if I ran this without the n, what happens? And it would tell you, oh, it's going to do X, Y, and Z. And you're like, oh, okay, that looks cool. Okay, I'm going to run this command again minus the n or something. So it's like not interact, not destructible or not destructive or something like that. So it will tell you exactly what kind of changes we've made to the system or to the to the files or whatever without doing like a preview command, if you will. I actually, for about 5 seconds today, thought, yeah, I'll go and take one of my little think centers over there and put some Clawdbot or Moldbot on there and do that. And then I was reading that article where it's like, secrets are being stored in Markdown or JSON files, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. I mean, it might be interesting if you had something like you wanted a local AI to be able to ask questions through Telegram or something like that, and you didn't trust, the public AIs like Gemini or Copilot or what have you. Or you wanted to ask, remind you of something. Maybe, hey, I could see doing that. Like, hey, remind me in a day to go do this thing, or hey, I just had an idea for this thing. Maybe put that on my calendar to work at later. But nothing where it would be like sending things on my behalf. If I send an email, I already have enough trouble writing terrible emails. I don't want something sending terrible emails in my stead. Or maybe that's like the new dog ate its own homework. Sorry, my AI sent the wrong email. Sorry, that kind of thing. Blame it on your AI. Blame it on my ADD. Blame it on my ADD. Yeah. So yeah, Clawdbot, Moltbot, that kind of thing. Let me post that up. There we go. There we go. Let me see, what's this other one? Oh, so if you have an autonomous vehicle, drones will cheerfully obey anything you tell it to do. So in Anchorman fashion, it will read anything you put in front of it. In a new class of attacks on AI systems, troublemakers carry out these environmental and indirect prompt injection attacks to hijack decision-making processes. Potential consequences including self-driving cars proceeding through crosswalks, um, tricking drones that are programmed to follow police cars into following a different vehicle entirely. I don't know about that one. But they said they used an AI to tweak the commands displayed on the signs such as proceed and turn left to maximize the probability of the AI system registering it as a command, and achieved success in multiple languages. So there you go. Oh, wow, they even use Spanglish. All seem to work. So what, turn left to aura? Like turn left now? Something like that. That's that's cool, but for the wrong reasons. So, as well as tweaking the prompt itself, researchers used AI to change how the text appeared. Fonts, colors, and placement of the signs were all manipulated for maximum efficacy. Team behind it named their method CHAI, an acronym for Command Hijacking Against Embodied AI. Okay, so they're already making names and backronyms for these things. That had to have been a backronym. I think so. Of course, they didn't add all the letters either, so it should have been like CHAEAI, CHAI, and then they decided, well, we don't need A against embodied AI, so command hijacking AI. Go on. Oh God, no. Go onward. Kind of name. What? So they changed the names on, or they changed the colors on the signs, they changed the fonts, they changed. Okay, so that makes sense. Looking left to right, the first two failed, but the third one made it. So these two didn't work, but this one did. Why did that one succeed? Why did the third one succeed where the other two failed? That's interesting. Go onward. That doesn't sound syntactically correct. Proceed does, but maybe it's designed to not look for certain. I'm wondering, like this one here, the proceed looks like maybe like an exit sign that you would see on a highway, like an overpass in the United States. So you have the green colored background with the reflective lights, but sometimes when it's not reflective, it's a dull gray, kind of like that. Maybe it was too similar to like what you might see on an overpass instead of next left or something like that, where it says that. So it would deny that completely. But this with the brighter green and the yellow is a non-standard sign type. So it would say, well, okay, I'm going to believe that, or yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. From there, the team tested signs in different languages, and those with green backgrounds and yellow text were each followed. So there's something about the green background with yellow text that it likes. Oh yeah, here's the Spanglish fish. I'm gonna bump that up a little bit. So turn izquierda. Izquierda? Okay. Complete Spanish apparently worked, and visual prompt in Chinese worked. So that's cool. Okay. It would kind of suck if you're in like a, I don't know, they say autonomous car, so I'm thinking Waymo or the oh, there's another one. Waymo would be the one I was thinking of. Do they give examples here? Let me see. Drive LM mindset. Images supplied show the changes made to a sign's appearance to maximize the chances of hijacking cars' decision making. They tested two LVLMs, the closed GPT 4.0 and interval. Okay. Without the signs placed in the LVLM's view, the decision was correctly made to slow down as the car approached a stop signal. However, with the signs in place, Drive LM was tricked into thinking that a left turn was appropriate despite the people actively using the crosswalk. Huh. I imagine that this was at an event or something where they were testing this out. And then once they fixed it, I'm hoping they fixed it, and this isn't being responded to or reported on without them addressing the issue. Let me see. UAV plugin for Microsoft AirSim. Okay, let me see. Additional tests are already being planned, include those carried out in rainy conditions and ones where the image assessed by the LVLM is blurred or otherwise disrupted by visual noise. Researchers were led by UCSC Professor of Computer Science and Engineering Alvaro Cardenas, who decided to explore the idea by first proposing one of his graduate students. Okay. So this is one of those things where they're writing up a white paper, right? And his graduate student wanted to, get published or whatever. And then they had to, contact these organizations to work this out. I would imagine that they were not reporting on this unless this has been addressed or is in the process of being addressed or fixed. I would hope that this has not been shared in this way like that. So, because it wouldn't be very difficult to, take a drone and have it follow the wrong people, or if the same vulnerabilities exist in like military grade drones, you could potentially put signs down on on the desert or wherever they might be flying over and telling them turn around, make a U-turn, and do whatever. So I'm assuming that they've already worked on these kinds of issues and addressed it. So here's the paper. Okay, so they have so yeah, it's a white paper, right? Here's the abstract for that on archive. I've seen a couple of these, more than once. Sometimes it's theoretical. Sometimes they have solutions in there. Sometimes they don't. So you see Luis Burbano, Diego Ortiz, Alvaro A. Cardenas, University of California, Santa Cruz. Oh, that's cool. Okay. All right. Yeah. So they advertised it. Okay, find the getaway car. Ignore. That's pretty good. I like the. I haven't seen a lot of white papers that had cartoons in them, so that's pretty nice. Yeah, so they've got the pictures in there. Joint optimization, jointly optimized visual attributes such as color, font size, and placement makes the text unreadable to the model or ineffective as an attack. Yeah, because the pictures, the signs have to be large enough for them to see it at, I don't want to say at a certain distance, right? Because if you were right up here before it actually made that decision, it would maybe miss it or pass altogether. So it feels like, yeah, these have to be of decent enough size for them to catch it in time. So, sorry, I'm going, so I'm going to blow this up. These two people have to be in the crosswalk, and I'm guessing that this is superimposed over what the person said, but you've got people who are actually walking in the crosswalk, and I'm assuming these folks are like hauling ass so that they don't get run over by the car. Right, so yeah, it's the same sign but 3 times. So this is just recreating what they put. It looks like they superimposed this person in here to kind of give you an idea or a proof of concept of what you would do to make this happen. You stand here in the construction zone and say, proceed while somebody's walking through. This looked like it was a better version of the picture that I had there. So. Cool. Anyway, you can go read that article, that white paper if you want to. Yeah, there's a ton of math involved and the attacker LLMs and attacking deployments, and looks like they have a nice loop here for dictionary creation. Yeah, so there's a lot of you're gonna get a good understanding of LVLM, yeah, looking at the math here and understanding that. So. The white papers rarely have solutions in them, so I was looking to see if this one had a solution. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through here. Discussion, universal versus individual attacks, conclusions on future work. Looks like they may have, had some kind of additional bits, insights from the experiments, different languages. They implemented an emergency landing task. 100% of the time, it happened every time. chai sign reading safe to land to a hazardous roof and replay the identical flight course. So instead of using a drone and manipulating GPS to get it to land somewhere, you just put up a sign that says land here, and that works. So. Yeah, so white papers rarely actually have a solution because that's not the job of the white paper, sadly. So, all right, let me see. SOCVEL quiz. Maybe we'll have some answers based on some of the questions that we brought up here. But yeah, SOCVEL's back again for another week. That's awesome. I'm going to go through these real quick. It's 4:15, so that's cool. Poland says they successfully thwarted a cyber attack against their power grid in December of 2025. Who does ESET believe is behind the attack? Lazarus, Sandworm, Cozy Bear, or Volt Typhoon? Got to know who your threat actors are in this case against power grid. Magnesium, hello. D, huh? Volt Typhoon? Yeah, that sounds familiar. Lazarus doesn't, I think Lazarus does ransomware and stuff. So feels like Volt Typhoon handles infrastructures and stuff. Yeah, hey. So yeah, let's start with Volt Typhoon. No, Sandworm, no. Okay, ESET research. There's that. Here we go. Data wiping malware ESET researchers have analyzed and have named Dino Wiper. Okay. Sounds like a Power Ranger name or something. Dino Wiper! No, it's okay. Don't worry about it, Magnesium. We're all here to learn. We're all here to learn. Identified the wiper used in a disruptive cyber attack against Polish energy sector so somebody had, ESET had posted on Blue Sky back in January 23rd. So it was about a week ago. Sandworm has a long history of disruptive cyber attacks, especially in Ukraine's critical infrastructure. Okay, there you go. Yeah, what is Volt Typhoon? It's a Microsoft named one, or whatever they... No, Volt Typhoon, there you go. Hacking Group, Vanguard Panda, Bronze Silhouette, Red Fly, Insidious Taurus, Dev 0391, Storm 0391, Unk 3236, and Voltzite. They're APT, allegedly cyber espionage on the behalf of the PRC. So there you go. Yeah, so that one's that one there. So, all right, onward. Insect Group shared a detailed overview of a North Korean state-sponsored actor targeting software developers. What name is this group tracked as? Johnny Bravo, Purple Bravo, Mike Bravo, or Captain Bravo? Why does Johnny Bravo... I like Johnny Bravo, the cartoon. Mike Bravo? Johnny Bravo. I don't think they'd call it Captain Bravo. I'm going to say Johnny Bravo. No, Purple Bravo. Damn. Okay. Oh, we're going to have to download a report. Okay. Purple Bravo is a North Korean state-sponsored threat group that overlaps with Contagious Interview. Oh, okay. Okay. I've heard of Contagious Interview before. I think we may have talked about it once or twice. Or maybe it was another SOCVEL scheme. Activity through 2025 has linked multiple fraudulent LinkedIn personas to Purple Bravo and through a malicious GitHub repo and fictitious lure brands. Group's toolset includes Beavertail, a JavaScript info stealer and loader, and multi-platform remote access Trojans, rats, specifically Pylang Ghost and Golang Ghost, optimized for stealing browser credentials and cryptocurrency wallet information. So there you go. Yeah, there's a report from Insect Group if you'd want to. It's probably Insect Group, not Insect Group. I'm assuming they're not calling themselves insects, but you can go check that out if you'd like to. You might have to, well, let's see, can you just download the report with it? Oh, okay, so you don't have to sign up for sales contact or anything like that. You can just go grab the recorded future threat analysis. 38 pages of awesome. Now, you might just drop that into ChatGPT and do a summary. Or you just read the executive summary and call it good. But This is going to give you the pyramid of pain. It's going to tell you about a lot of stuff. You're going to get IOCs and threat actor stuff. So if you're a threat actor, it might be worth your time to go through and look at some of these. Maybe you're following some of these folks on LinkedIn. Yeah. I still don't know how these folks managed to get jobs. Like there was one article where somebody was working like 6 different jobs as a North Korean person. I want to know what they're doing to get 6 jobs because I can't get 1 job. What are they saying to recruiters to get hired? Or is it one of those things where they're actually hacking the ATS to make it so that they are automatically getting hired? It could be that too. Considering a lot of companies already have IAB, internal access, broker access with a lot of folks. Maybe they're able to backdoor the ATS and add themselves as like, yeah, that person gets the job. I don't know. All right, next. I have a feeling this is not going to be a good week. What class of vulnerable? Oh, I read about this WinRAR thing, but I'm gonna say it was a buffer overflow, because for whatever reason people are still using WinRAR in 2025. I guess if you're downloading game cheats and stuff, you might still be using WinRAR. Buffer, I think it was a buffer overflow. Path traversal in it. Yeah. When I clicked next, I remembered something about being a path traversal, being like used in a zip bomb kind of attack. Damnity damn. To establish initial access and diverse payloads. Yes. We urge organizations to keep software fully up to date and patched. File within RAR archive has a composite name like innocuous.pdf :malicious.link combined with the malicious path users user blah blah blah. Once the archive is opened, ADS alternate data streams. Okay. Alternate data streams, for those of you who are not aware, is alternate are a feature of the NTFS file system, allows files to contain multiple hidden streams of data along with the primary content. So yeah, that's what when I saw the colon, I was like, oh, okay. They permit attaching extra data to a file without changing visible size in Windows Explorer. Attackers can use ADS to hide malicious executables, which can then be executed using tools like WScript or run DLL32. And here's an article for that. Delete that bit there. You can get more information here. You actually learn about these when I went through my SANS GCIH course, 504. Or I'm sorry, 504, 542 is GWAP. But yeah, they're a very cool thing to use, but they're definitely used by bad guys. And those are sometimes part of the forensics that you do when you're analyzing things, finding out if a file has additional file streams. Yeah, so you can see if a file has additional file streams, you can go and look in -stream star, and it'll show you all of the available streams that it'll have. So yeah, there's some ADSs that you can use using GCI to look for those file names as well. You can also remove them. So removing ADS is not always advisable. Some of them are needed for the proper use of software that created the streams. Just me, but I've been working in IT for 30 plus years. You can definitely smuggle data because it's, as is mentioned here, it will hide streams of data alongside the primary content. And like the write-up said, that's not it. That's Dino Wiper. Yeah, here you go. So the PDF may actually be a legit PDF, but then there's a link file underneath it that is really the actual file with the nasty stuff in it. And yeah, you may not necessarily know malicious.link is one of the files underneath there unless you use the commands from like what Malwarebytes mentions, to look for those things. So I'm going to close some browser windows here. But yeah, so then you can look for that content if you know what to look for. The problem is, yeah, unraring it, assuming you're using WinRAR at all, can cause you issues there. So yeah, it's a good write up from Google Threat Intelligence team. Pop that. There we go. Yeah, financial motivated activity. Lure documents use this vulnerability to drop a CMD file in the startup folder. Script then processes a password protected RAR archive from Dropbox. Thank you, Dropbox. Which contains a backdoor that communicates with the Telegram bot command and control. So it's using Telegram for C2, which is kind of cool. Pretty typical of what you see, Telegram or Slack or something else being used as C2. Oh, async rat. Okay, our good friend async rat, which we've tried to tear apart a couple times in a sandbox. Anyway, next. I think I learned, but yes, magnesium. To your point, yes, and the problem is they've been in NTFS for a long time, and you have to wonder why. Who thought that was a good idea? And unfortunately, they haven't gotten rid of them or deprecated them. It seems like a useless thing to have. Anyway, Google Threat Intel this week took down Ipedia. What type of network is this? I'll say it's a botnet. Yeah, I have yet to find a legitimate use for ADS anywhere, ever. The only time I've ever seen it being used is for nefarious purposes. Just is. Now, please comment below if you have a legitimate reason you use ADS. And when I mean legitimate, I mean like there's no other solution that you could potentially use that would be better than using an ADS. I think this is a botnet. That's on me. Not doing good today. Ipedia's proxy infrastructure is a little known component of the digital ecosystem leveraged by a wide array of bad actors. Okay, is it IoT? Is it IoT? Discovered Ipedia software development kits and proxy server to platform providers, law enforcement, research firms to help drive ecosystem-wide awareness and enforcement. These SDKs, which are offered to developers across multiple mobile and desktop platforms, surreptitiously enroll user devices into the Ipedia network. So wait, is this a legitimate? Residential proxy networks sell the ability to route traffic through IP addresses owned by ISPs and used to provide service to residential or small business customers. By routing traffic through an array of consumer devices all over the world, attackers can mask their malicious activity by hijacking these IP addresses. It almost sounds like a Tor network kind of thing. Robust residential proxy network requires control of millions of residential IP addresses to sell to customers for use. I still don't know what a Wikipedia is. I mean, is it? It must be like you've owned up routers or IoT devices and okay, Ipedia is a Chinese company. It operated one of the largest residential proxy networks in the world. Ipedia controlled Door VPN, Galleon VPN, Radish VPN, and Amman with no clear discourse about turning users' PCs into proxy nodes. Android mobile devices and internet-connected media streamers were also vulnerable. Huh. So Ipedia was a Chinese company. It's a residential proxy. An intermediary that uses a real IP address provided an ISP with physical devices such as mobiles or computers end of users. Instead of connecting directly to a server, residential proxy users connected to the target through residential IP addresses. So yeah, it almost sounds like a Tor or some kind of a tool to bypass bypass typical methods of routing, right? Which, unlike regular residential proxies, which hide the user's real IP address behind another IP address, rotating residential proxies known as back connect proxies conceal the user's real IP address behind a pool of proxies. These proxies switch between themselves every session or regular intervals. Okay, so they have a, yeah, it's almost like a Tor or something, but you're rotating to a different, so you'll go out one Tor node for so many minutes and then you'll switch and actually go out through, Seattle, or and then Chicago and then Boston or something. These activities encompassed illegal promotion, fast fluxing, phishing, hosting malware, and more. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay, so compromise, yes. They operate on a compromised host, including Internet of Things device. Okay, so your IoT devices get owned and they have some kind of method by which you can, hook up and proxy traffic either via SSH or something like that through these proxies, and they've set them up that way. Okay. Excellent. Let me close some things out. I'm not doing too well today, but that's okay. People are learning. Okay, in more North Korean ponage targeting Japanese financial orgs, what scripting language is GSRAT based on? AutoHotkey is a scripting language. I've never heard of AutoIT. These seem to be fairly popular. GSRAT. I'm going to say, initially settled on VBScript, but AutoHotkey would not surprise me. AutoIT. I've never heard of it before, so that's why. All right. VBScript is pretty defunct now. Oh, yeah? VBScript's coming back, baby. Okay, so this is a PDF of what looks like a slide overdone. Okay, so APT actor Connie launched an attack using a new AutoIT based rat. Okay. Let's see what AutoIT is. Oh. Okay, basic like scripting language. No shit. Basic like being like 10 go to 20, 20 do thing, 30 go to 10 or something like that. Designed for automating Windows GUI and general scripting, uses a combination of simulated keystrokes, mouse movement, and Windows manipulation. Wow. Huh. Mouse movements even. In order to automate tasks in a way not possible or reliable with other languages. Interesting. Easy to learn basic like syntax. Simulates keystrokes and mouse movements. Manipulates Windows controls and processes. Scripts can be compiled into standalone executables. You can create graphical user interfaces. COM support. Oh, Jesus. Really? God. There's just some things that Windows needs to get rid of immediately, like RC4, COM support. Wow. Directly call DLLs and API functions. Well, okay. So compatible from XP to 11. Okay. Okay. Oh, see, look. So look, Magnesium, you can still use VBScript in PowerShell. VBScript. Yeah, we're still there. Jesus. How long has this been around? How old is this? Really? All the way back to November 2010? Wow. Holy shit, this is ancient. I didn't even know about this. 3.3.6.1 was released in 2010. I didn't even know this thing existed. That's nuts. It actually goes back even further. It looks like 2006. Damn. Huh. But how to control serial bus with no COM support? Oh, I don't know. Windows 11, I doubt COM support. Serial bus is actually a requirement. I don't think it's the COM things that you're talking about. Things I don't know, Phil. Yeah, mine can fill a Library of Congress times 10. So, interesting. Okay, so Auto IT based. So this is at least a 30-year-old scripting language, 20-year-old scripting language at least. So, well, there you go. Auto IT, if you're so interested in understanding that. Anyway, not going to be a good day for Brian on cyber threat quiz. U.S. has indicated loads of TDA cartel members. I don't know. Some cartel members for using malware to execute which attacks. Cartel members don't strike me as being somebody who would like malware. ATM jackpotting doesn't seem like their bag. I'm thinking it's going to be more BEC. Trendy aqua. I can't get my tongue to do the thing that I needed to do there. I'm going to say BEC, business email compromise. Really? ATM jackpotting? Seriously? Is the thing? Oh, okay. DOJ, whatever. Department of Punishment or whatever. It probably does. That when you knew. Okay. Federal Grand Jury District of Nebraska returned an additional indictment charging 31 individuals for roles in conspiracies to deploy malware and stealing millions of dollars from ATMs in the United States, a crime known as jackpotting. 56 others have already been charged. Many of the defendants charged in the Homeland Security Task Force operation for Venezuelan and Colombian nationals. Oh, Trendy Aragua. Yeah, okay. This indictment alleged 32 counts of conspiracy to commit bank fraud. Wow. Okay, man. 290 ATM jackpotting? Okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I guess so. Go look at the Department of Punishment, site here if you want to for that. There we go. All right. Not going to be a good day for Brian here. Brian failed to do even any remediary looking here for news before I did this. See, y'all can't say I cheat. Never going to get a 10 of 10 on this. And there's just going to be days where going to be lucky to get one. So, Blackpoint Cyber warned of a fake CAPTCHA campaign pulling live malware configs from where? I'm going to say GitHub. GitHub. Yeah, I'm going to say GitHub. Mother. If there's kids, plug your kids' ears. Damn. Google Calendar. Jesus. Really? Google Calendar? I know there was something going on with GitHub this week having to do with malware, but, it is what it is. Blackpoint SOCs identified a new fake CAPTCHA campaign that leverages a signed Microsoft application virtualization script. VBS. VBS. VBS ain't dead, baby. To proxy execution through legitimate Windows component. Instead of launching PowerShell directly, the attacker uses this script to control how execution begins and to avoid more common, easily recognized execution paths. First, it pulls a live configuration from a public Google Calendar file. Really? How in the hell? Public Google Calendar file. So like an ICS file from Google? Me too. I didn't know about auto IT either. So, yeah, it is an ICS file. So apparently the ICS file allows for stuff in it to allow you to do other bad things. Okay, Magnesium, have a good night. Take care. Early stages, verify user interaction and execution order using environment and clipboard state. Stalling execution when those checks fail. Subsequent PowerShell stages rely on alias and wildcard abuse to dynamically resolve sensitive commandlets at runtime. Okay. Oh, hey, we're using steganography. Cool. PNG-based steganography with encrypted PowerShell content embedded side image file. Hey, we got some ICS files, we've got VB script, we've got steganography and PNG files. I mean, we got everything this week. We got ATM jackpotting, all kinds of good stuff. Amatera Stealer, an information stealing malware family commonly used to harvest browser data and credentials. All right, let's get this done. Let's see if I can get one. I need one. I just need one. Recent cyber attack in Russia crippled what? Oh, cars. Cars. I know this one because I was going to talk about this one, but like high end, like Porsches and stuff, they're blocking satellite comms. Yeah. I'd actually read this, and this happened a little while ago. This isn't new. So, what? Monday? No, no, no. This didn't happen on Monday. Let me see. Delta's alarm system. Let's see. Russia, Porsche, bricked. Yeah, there you go. Porsche panic in Russia as pricey status symbols forget how to car. Satellite silence immobilizes cars, leaving owners stuck. So, yeah, their vehicle tracking system back in December, early December, was also unable to diagnose or nature of the problem. The protection against. They thought it was a cyber attack, but they said the privacy experts were dubious. Modern immobilizers don't react to what happens around the vehicle. They depend on a constant trust heartbeat from satellite or cloud-based backends. From the outside, a deliberate hack and intentional backend shutdown can make it look almost identical. The tracking service disappears, the car interprets that as theft, and the immobilizer kicks in. So this happened in December 9th of last year. But apparently this is a new attack. Oh, that's not it. That's not it. Okay, so Catalin Campano reports in local media cars using Delta's alarm system couldn't unlock cars or stop active alarms. Owners couldn't start engines or their engines jammed while driving. Company confirmed the incident but did not provide details other than calling it a large-scale external attack. So this is a specific smart alarm system in certain cars, not just satellites and Porsches and stuff like that. So it could be any car, right? The Delta app launched in 2020, compatible with most cars, can be used to track a car's location. Could be very similar. Oh, Delta incident took place on the same day. Leonardo travel booking system went down across Russian airport. No, that's not the same. I'm not sure why they said the same thing. So yeah, cars with theft systems, especially like the Porsches or whatever, they're going to want a constant data link, right? And if they don't have that data link, which is interesting, because what if you parked a Porsche deep enough in a garage where it lost the ability to communicate with satellites? I know when I go in my Tesla into a parking garage, I'll lose the ability to, take a cellular signal. So if depending on how deep your underground bunker is for your Russian oligarchs, you might lose satellite connectivity underground unless you had some kind of leaky coax solution that would pull that signal and replicate it. Interesting. Delta's phone lines and website were down all Monday, and the disruption continued the next day. Okay, so I got lucky only because it really was cars. I was assuming it was the one in December, but this is different. So, yeah, different issue. This was the one I was going to report on in December, but this is the one that happened in last week. So, and this is from Risky Biz, so Risky Biz Network service. They have a good list. Catalan and them do a good job of curating news as well. I haven't listened to the podcast in a few years, mainly because when I go out walking, I don't want to listen to information security stuff. I try to get away from the information security stuff. So I actually haven't listened to information security podcasts in a while. Okay, well I got at least one. Let's get two. See if we can get two. What data is being intercepted by pirate tow trucks in Spain to scam stranded motorists? Data is being intercepted to scam stranded motorists. Pirate tow trucks. You know what? Phone calls would make sense, but that would require like a Stingray and being able to downgrade their phone connections to something that they could listen in on comms. I'm not sure why the VIN numbers would be good for the tow trucks unless they're scamming stranded motor. See, that would be the thing. It'd be like, I'm a tow truck driver. I intercept the phone call for assistance. I come and I get you. Pay me $200. I'll fix your car. Once you've paid them, then they drive off. I'm going to say phone calls. And you know, now that I'm thinking about it, that does make sense because you could potentially push the actual tow truck to go to some place where that car isn't, right? Oh, they're talking about car theft risk. Interesting. Great. There we go. Geolocation service on these devices. So this is a beacon that you use, V16 emergency beacon. It's a car theft risk. Information is publicly accessible as the key to real risks of fraud or abuse by malicious third parties. New device for warning other road users of stranded vehicles and mandatory since January 1st across Spain. Wow, okay, so these are things that you have to have in your car in Spain. Spain's Directorate General of Traffic reduce roadside accidents for pedestrians, allows vehicles involved in accidents to send their exact location to the platform. However, the same GPS functionality is being exploited by organized criminal networks to carry out a new type of fraud. Okay, so they intercept the signals or monitor incidents to arrive at the scene before risk. Okay, so very similar to what I said, but I was assuming phone calls for assistance instead of beacon things. The beacon thing I didn't know about. So, okay. If the incident were to occur at night on a secondary road, the risk is even greater. So a tow truck, maybe a flatbed tow truck comes before the official folks can show up. They take your car. Yeah, somebody will be right by surely enough, and they steal your car. Dear God. Okay. Wow. That sucks. It makes sensitive information such as location stuck publicly accessible. Um, yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts. Opening dangerous doors for criminals to steal vehicles or personal belongings, taking advantage of the isolation and vulnerability of the driver, often in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Okay, so I didn't know about those beacons. If I had, maybe I would have picked something else. So, okay, well that's all right. Last one. All right, let's see if we can get this one. Let's get number two. Let's get number two. Ooh, number two. Oh. Anyway, you know that, then you've watched a few comedies. So let me put that one down here. There we go. All right. Threat actors from which country did Zscaler warn using private? See, I knew there was a GitHub thing today. Using private GitHub repos as C2 in attacks against governments. I don't think North Korea can access GitHub. Threat actors from which country did Zscaler warn? I think the question was Zscaler warned about threat actors from which country using private GitHub repos as C2 in attacks against governments. I don't know if North Korea has access to GitHub. Russia, China, Pakistan probably still have access to that. Pakistan? It it's like one of these things just doesn't belong here. When I'm thinking of threat actors, China and Russia are like, the top two. The fact that Pakistan is there, yeah. Oh, look at me. Yeah, baby. Haha. All right. Yeah, they're probably attacking the Indian government potentially. Yep, there you go. Tale as old as time. Pakistan does not like India. Zscaler Threat Labs identified two campaigns, Gopher Strike and Sheet Attack, by threat actors that operate in Pakistan and primarily target entities of the Indian government. There's a little bit of history there between India and Pakistan. Threat labs identified previously undocumented tools, techniques, and procedures. While these campaigns share some similarities with the Pakistan-linked APT threat group APT-36, we assess them with medium confidence that the activity identified during this analysis might originate from a new subgroup or other Pakistan-linked group operating in parallel. So, yeah, there you go. They use PDFs containing malicious links or fake prompts to trick victims into downloading an ISO file. Why would you download an ISO file? Why would somebody in the government be downloading an ISO file? I don't know. There's some reason, but hey, Cobalt Strike. Good job. Using Cobalt Strike. Awesome. Go Shell's a shellcode loader written in Golang that deploys Cobalt Strike on specific host names. Gift that keeps on giving, Cobalt Strike. Yep. Here's that. All right, I got 2. That's sweet. I thought I was only going to get 1, but yeah, the fact that Pakistan was on there, it was just different enough that it made me wonder. So anyway, all right, well, since I didn't do so well, show results. There you go, 2 of 10. Boo, I didn't win. But I am gonna go and get dinner because we're a little late tonight. But I appreciate everybody who was on, and thank you to Magnesium and Digital Warhead and for keeping me company here, and all you lurkers, whoever you are. I don't know who you are because I'm not looking at the lurker window, but if you're lurking, appreciate you. Thank you for being here, sticking around with me. And should be on next week, hopefully. I'm going to keep an eye out. I'm hoping to hear some good news. If I hear some good news, I will probably be streaming that day. Hoping I'm hearing good news after going through that interview loop. But keep networking. If you're looking for a job, you're not alone. There's tens of thousands of us out there now doing it, even more so after certain layoffs that happened this week and back in October. And it's not going to be the last layoffs we hear. UPS laid off, between the 3 companies, there were 55,000 people that got laid off this week. So you're not alone. And you need to talk, we're available. We have a Discord, we have a Slack. Come in, tell us about your issues. We'll at least give you a look at your resume and see if there's any way we can improve it. And hope you have a good day, have a good weekend. Okay, y'all take care. All right, be safe.